Hi everyone, it's Teresa from Teresa's Spot for Art, where I love helping you create a little joy in your life through some fun, simple, and quick art projects. Today we are going to learn how to paint a sweet pea. I have out my paints here. I have out citrus green. I think this is thicket, magenta, violet pansy, some white, and then I have some of this floating medium, which helps the paint and the brush move when you're painting on cardstock. Okay? So I'm just going to wet my brush just to bring my bristles together. When you paint, you want your brush to have a nice chisel edge. You want all your bristles to come together depending on the stroke. And in this case, yes, we want that. We want all our bristles to be able to come together. I'm going to dip one corner in light green, one corner in dark green. I'm going to apply a little pressure to my brush, and I'm going to load the paint into the bristles and the fibers in my brush. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to dip in the edge of my floating medium, and I'm going to work that up into the fibers and the brush as well. Go back for a little bit more light, a little bit more green, and then I'm going to stand up on the chisel edge, and I'm going to paint in just a couple of little vines just to get started. Stand up, not a lot of pressure, and just pull up those little vines. Okay, light, dark, fix my brush. And I'm just going to come in here, I'm just going to add in some leaves to my stem. Holding my brush down and then pulling up on a curve. Okay, we're just going to do those bottom ones for now, and then I'm going to wash my brush. Okay, so we're going to do our sweet peas. We're going to do little sweet pea buds, and then we're going to do little sweet peas that are in bloom. I'm going to do two different colors. So again, I'm going to double load my brush, but this time I'm going to use the magenta and the white. The same thing, apply a little bit of pressure to my brush. I want to work that paint up into the fibers. Come over here on the side of my floating medium. Just pick up a little bit of that floating medium. Work that into my brush as well. Okay, when we have a decent amount of paint on our brush, we want to make sure that our fibers are all together on that chisel edge. And I'm just going to come up here, and I'm going to stand my brush up, and I'm going to just make a little bit of a teardrop petal, just like that. Okay, that's one. Pick up some more paint. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to make another little teardrop petal. So I'm applying a little bit of pressure to my brush. I'm turning it, and I'm coming down. Okay, a little bit more paint, and now I'm going to layer this one. So I'm going to start at the bottom, but I want this petal to be a little bit in front and layered in there. Pick up a little bit of magenta, a little bit of white. Same thing, the bottom of my brush is going to start where the other one is and come in. So now we did three little petals, and we kind of overlap them. Pick up a little bit more magenta, and then I'm going to come out here to the side. I'm going to put a little bit of pressure and pull, so we have our one petal going out to the side a little bit. Okay, fix my brush, pick up some white, pick up some magenta, fix my brush again. If my brush stops moving how nicely that I want it to move on the paper, I'll pick up a little bit more of the floating medium over here that I have. It's clear, so it's a little bit hard for you to see. And now I'm going to do another large one out here. So again, I'm going to start my stroke and end. The bottom of my brush doesn't move, so the bottom of my brush, we always meet back here. Pick up a little bit more magenta. I'm going to do this layering effect again. So I'm going to line up my brush where I started the first one, give a little bit of a wiggle, and there's a second petal. Now I'm actually going to go into my purple. I want to darken this one up a little bit. I didn't clean my brush. I just added a little bit of purple to the magenta side of my brush. And now again, I'm going to lay down the edge of my brush where I started the others. Apply a little bit of pressure. Wiggle it. Pick up the purple, pick up the white. I'm going to do a little one up here right in front. Then we're going to stand up, put a little bit of pressure and pull in. And then I'm going to get a lot of white on this brush now. I'm going to flip it. So I want my white on the top. And there. Okay. Wash my brush again. Give it a nice dry. I'm going to go back to my greens. I'm going to load my greens just the way we did before with the light and the dark. Come to the side of my floating medium. And I'm going to show you how we're going to attach these flowers to our stem or our stalk, whatever it is. Okay? So the first thing I want to add a little bit of a leaf and attach this leaf and that bud to the stem. Okay? Dark green, light green. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to take my brush, I'm going to set it down, I'm going to push and attach a little bit of a leaf there. Now we're going to add some leaves and set this one back so it looks a little bit more into the vine. And then we're going to come down to this one. And because this is a whole full flower, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, however many fit, just to cup that sweet pea in there. And then we can add a little bit more leaves if we want. With stems. Just to make our little painting here look a little bit more full. And that's how you paint a sweet pea. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Hello, it is Teresa from Teresa's Spot for Art, where I love helping you create a little joy in your life through some fun, simple, and quick art projects. Today we are going to learn how to paint some purple thistle. So I have out my paints. I've been working on some other flowers. I have out some violet pansy, some white. This is floating medium. It helps your brush move when you're painting on cardstock. Cardstock tends to absorb the moisture from the paint, so you want to use some of that floating medium. And then I have a thicket and a citrus green. I'm going to start with my greens. I'm going to load my brush. Then I'm going to make this little runway here. Apply a little bit of pressure to your brush. You want to work the paint up into the fibers, into the bristles of the brush, and you want to have both colors on your brush. I'm going to dip a little bit in my floating medium. Like I said, it is only use is that. You don't want to use water, and the floating medium helps your brush move along the cardstock. Okay? So I'm going to stand my brush up. We're going to do a few of these, and I'm going to make a U. I'm going to stand it up. I'm going to put some pressure on it, and I'm going to curve up and make a U. Okay? Both greens. Apply a little bit of pressure. Push my brush down. Form a U shape. And then pull up. And then we'll do one out here to the side. I'm going to push my brush down. I'm going to form a U shape. And pull up. Okay? Then I'm going to wash my brush. Give it a little rinse and then dry it off on my paper towel. Now I'm going to do the same thing, except this time I'm going to load my brush with purple and white. So I'm going to dip in the white, I'm going to dip in the purple, I'm going to come over here, I'm going to make my little runway, get some floating medium, come back to my runway, and again we want the bristles on our brush to come all together. Pick up a little bit of extra purple, and I'm just going to start, and we're going to pull in. I'm keeping my brush upright, and I'm just pulling in these little strokes. Pick up some purple, pick up some white, and we're just layering in these strokes. You're going to have different variations of the purple and different variations of the white. You can have light purple, you can have dark purple. You want to fix your brush when you need to so your fibers come together. And I'm going back now, I'm adding like a second layer, and I'm pulling them all in. Okay, fix my brush, purple and white. Move on to the next one. Little series of strokes. Some are darker, some are lighter, more white, more purple, more pressure, and just keep layering these in and layering these in. It's okay to go over your U stroke that you made with the green, because I'm going to show you how we're going to fix that. I have a little bit of paint buildup, so I'm going to wipe my brush. I'm just going to go back into my purple and my white. I can go back in my same runway, but I chose to make a new one. Purple and white. The less pressure you put, the skinnier your thistle petals will be. And then the opposite is true. The more pressure you put, the wider your thistle petals will be. And you just want to add in a few layers. You want them nice and full. They don't have to be perfect. Some can be boinging out to the side. Some can be really dark. Some can be really light. You can keep layering if you want. And when you think you had enough, you can call it quits. Okay? So I'm going to wash my brush. Give it a rinse. And then go back into my green. So dark green, light green, runway. Dark green, light green, runway. And now I'm going to make a stem. So there's one, there's two, there's 3 stems. Okay? Then we want little tiny leaves to go downward. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to put my light to my stem, and I'm just going to put one little leaf. I'm just putting a little bit of pressure on my brush, pulling it out on a diagonal. I'm using the dark green and the light green. I'm adding these little bit of leaves in the opposite direction, going down my stem. A little bit of pressure, a little bit of pressure. Okay? And then we're going to make the same thing, but now we're going to layer them, and they're going to go up. So we're going to put 1. And you want these all to fill in and go over the U that you painted in. Okay, that was just a base. And now we're painting in these little leaves. and they kind of just come up in here. They cover it up, and we have the flowers sticking out the top. Again, I want to clean my brush. When I get a little paint buildup, I don't have to go into the water. I just want to wipe it off, and then I come right back to my fresh paint. Get a little bit of floating medium. Just need a tiny, tiny bit. I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm barely putting pressure on my brush, and I'm layering these leaves over one another where they meet the leaves that are going the opposite way. And then, put my finger in the paint, and then we'll do this one. And these are so tiny, I just pick up paint for every 3 leaves. And there we have our purple thistle flower. Thanks for joining me. Keep practicing, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Hello all, I'm Teresa, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to learn how to paint bluebells in 5 minutes. So I have out my paint palette here. For this we need 2 greens. I have sap green and citrus green. Then I have ultramarine blue and white. And then I have this clear spot here, which is floating medium. And that helps your brush move when you're painting on cardstock. And the cardstock absorbs the liquid that's in the paint. So I like to use floating medium on my brush when I'm painting on cardstock. It helps my brush move much smoother. So I'm going to dip in my blue. I'm going to dip in my white. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make a little runway. Oh, I had a little bit of pink in there. That's okay. Blue, white, runway. Then I'm going to pick up a little bit of the floating medium on the tip of my brush, and I'm going to work that into my bristles and my fibers as well. We have both colors of blue on our, we have the blue, light blue, white on our brush. We have 2 colors, the light value and the dark value, which is our blue, and we loaded them up. With this flower, I'm usually do the stems and the leaves first. I'm going to actually do the flowers first for you guys, okay? So the first one we want to do is looking at it from the top. A bluebell is has like a funnel shape. I'm going to stand my brush up with the white to the top. I'm going to push down a little bit. I'm going to make a U, and then I'm going to come up. So we make a U stroke, but our U has that flare on it. Okay? I'm going to make the blue and the white. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint my petals. So my white is to the top. I'm going to come up to a point and then come back down. I'm going to stand up my brush. I'm going to come up to a point and then come back down. Pick up a tiny bit of paint every time. I'm standing up. I'm pushing my brush up to a point and then I'm coming down. Okay, fix my brush. We always want our brush to have a nice chisel edge on it up here. Got my blue, got my white. My white is to the outside. I just want to fix my cup in here. Pick up my blue, pick up my white. And now I'm going to do the same thing, my white to the outside, except this time these petals are going to go out and to the front. Okay? Blue, white. This petal with my white to the outside is going to go out and back into the front. Okay? So there's the front view. Let me do one more for you guys. All right. Got my blue up top. I'm going to stand my brush up. I'm going to come in an angle. I'm going to make my U, and I'm going to come off at an angle. Pick up my blue and my white. I'm going to add my 3 petals. So I want to push my brush up to a point and then back down. In the middle, I'm going to put my brush up to the point and back down. and then out to the left. I'm going to push my brush up to a point and back down. Let me fix the paint buildup. I'm going to get some blue and some white again. Go back to my runway. We want our brush to be thin and not have some crazy fibers going out all over the place. And again, my white is going away from me. I'm going to come in here, I'm going to push out with my white and come back in. And then I'm going to push out to my white and come back in. Okay, I'm going to wash my brush. Now I'm going to get a liner brush. I'm going to dip my liner brush in my light green. I'm going to twirl it between my thumb and my forefinger so we have a nice point on it. I'm going to put it right down here, and then I'm going to pull up, adding a nice center into our flower. Again, I'm going to twirl my paint. Liner brush is the only brush that I would say that it's okay to use some water with. I'm just dipping the tip of my brush in the water. I'm loosening up this paint a little bit. My citrus green is very, very thick, so I'm loosening it up. I'm still going to turn my brush between my finger and my thumb. I'm going to come to this next flower, and I'm going to add in the center. I'm just pulling in these little tiny greens. Then I'm going to come over here to my white. I'm going to add some white to the middle. And we have our two bluebell centers, our main flowers. I'm washing my brush from before. I'm going to give it a rinse. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to do buds. So I'm picking up the blue and the white on my brush. And I'm just going to come out here. I'm going to put one bud. And then, so one petal and two petals. And there we have our little bud. I'm going to show you how we're going to set that in when we do our leaves and our stem. And then if you want, you can do one off to the side. It's the same way, and it's layering. We're going to have our white to the outside. I'm going to do it up here. So we're going to have a middle point, and we're going to have our petals come up and out, up and out. Fix my brush, pick up some more paint, and then we're going to do a couple of petals in the front. So we're going to come up and down, up and down, always keeping the white and down. Okay, we have a top view, a side view, and we have our buds. And I'm going to wash my brush. Give it a little rinse. And now we can do our stems. I'm going to double load with my green again. Pick up some of this floating medium, work it in. Dark, light, runway. Dark, light, runway. And then holding my brush upright, I'm going to make a stem. Make a stem. Make a stem, and then make a stem. Okay, and then for our little bud, we want those little lines, acrylic, I think it's called acrylic, holding our flower together. And then for our large flowers from the top view, we want a little bit of a leaf, in the front. Just putting 2 tiny little leaves coming off our stem. And then for our side view, it's a little bit different. These are going to come out to the side and have a point. Okay? And then you can add a little bit of leaf to your stem. And these leaves have more of a rounded edge. I'm loading my brush. Get some more floating medium. Dark, light, runway. And I'm putting a little bit of pressure on my brush, flaring it out, and pulling them down into our, a little too much paint there, down into our stem. And there's our bluebells. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next time.